It is Christmas morning. I have been up since 5:30, not because I am excited. I stopped being excited about Christmas a long time ago. I am up because I do not sleep well, and I never have. And at 78 years old, I have accepted that the night is just something I get through now, rather than something I enjoy. I made coffee, black. I put one plate on the table, one mug, one chair pulled out. I do not pull out the other chairs because there is no point. Nobody is coming. My son Michael is in Cleveland with his family. My daughter Patricia is in Phoenix. My son Kevin, and we will get to Kevin later, that is its own chapter, is in a place I will not describe today. My youngest, Bridget, is the only one who calls on Christmas. She calls at noon, regular as a clock. We talk for 20 minutes. It is the best 20 minutes of my year, and when it is done, the rest of the day stretches out in front of me like a long gray road going nowhere.
Pause. I have been sober for 16 years. I want to say that at the start, because everything I am going to tell you about my life runs in two directions: the drinking years and the sober years. And if you are expecting me to tell you that getting sober fixed everything, I need you to understand something important before we go any further. Getting sober is the right thing to do. It is the only thing to do when you are a man like me. But it is not a time machine. It does not reach back and fill in the years you were not present. It does not walk your son onto a baseball field on a Saturday afternoon in 1982. It does not sit beside your wife in the hospital in 2007. It does not unsay the things you said and undo the nights your children fell asleep, listening to you argue with your wife in the kitchen because you had come home from the bar again. Sobriety is clarity. And clarity, when you are 78 years old and sitting alone on Christmas morning, is a mixed blessing.
You see everything very clearly, including everything you cannot get back. My name is Edward Sullivan. I am 78 years old. I am a retired steelworker from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am the son of Irish immigrants. I am a Catholic man, though I have tested that faith in ways that would have broken a lesser arrangement with God. I am a father 4 times over. I am a widower. And I am an alcoholic. I will always be an alcoholic. The only difference between the man I was and the man I am now is that the man I am now has not had a drink in 16 years. I am going to tell you everything that happened in between those two men, because the distance between them is the most important distance I have ever traveled. And I traveled most of it in the wrong direction for a very long time. I was born in 1946 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My parents, Seamus and Nora Sullivan, had come over from County Clare in Ireland in 1938. My father got a job at the Homestead Steelworks before the war and never left. He worked in the mill for 31 years. He came home every day covered in soot and smelling of metal and heat, and he never complained once in his life. Not once. He had come from nothing in Ireland, and he had built something in Pittsburgh, and as far as he was concerned, that was a story with a happy ending, regardless of how hard the middle was. We were Irish Catholic in the way that people were Irish Catholic in Pittsburgh in the 1950s, which is to say, completely and without question. Mass every Sunday without exception. Confession every month. The Rosary on Friday evenings. Father Donahue at St. Brendan's knew all 4 Sullivan children by name and had opinions about each of us. I was the middle child, 2 brothers, 1 sister, and I was the loudest of the 4, which in a Sullivan household is saying something. Drinking was part of the culture I grew up in. I want to say that plainly and without using it as an excuse, because I have learned in 16 years of sobriety that explaining the origins of a thing is not the same as justifying it. My father drank. His friends drank. The men at the mill drank. After a shift at the Homestead Works, you went to McCaffrey's bar on Whitaker Street, and you had a beer, and you talked about the shift, and you went home. That was the rhythm. That was how working men in Pittsburgh in 1955 processed the physical and emotional demands of their days. I am not saying it was right. I am saying it was what I grew up watching. And when you grow up watching something, it takes on the quality of normal. And normal is the most dangerous thing in the world because you do not question it. I was a good student, not exceptional, but steady. I liked history and I was good with my hands. I played baseball in the summer and hockey in the winter. And I had friends in the neighborhood who I would know my entire life, or thought I would. The mill took some of them young. The bottle took others later. A few made it all the way through. I like to think about those ones on the hard days. I finished high school in 1964. I did not go to college. In my neighborhood in 1964, you did not go to college unless you had scholarship money, and I did not have scholarship money. You graduated and you went to work. My father got me in at the Homestead Works through the union, and I started on the floor at 18 years old. 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, in conditions that people today would not believe were legal. The heat, the noise, the weight of everything. I loved it. I am not being ironic. I genuinely loved it. Because I was strong and young, and the mill rewarded strength and youth in the most direct way possible. You did the work, you got paid. You went home tired in the way that sleep can fix. That kind of tired is honest. I miss it. I worked at the Homestead Works from 1964 to 1987, 23 years. In that time, I worked my way from floor labor to furnace operator to shift supervisor. I was good at my job, reliable, strong. The men I worked with trusted me, and I trusted them. That trust is one of the few things from those years that I am entirely proud of. Whatever else was happening in my life, I showed up for work. The mill got the best version of me. My family got what was left. I started drinking at the bar after shifts when I was 20. It was McCaffrey's, same as my father. Same stools, same bartender. Old Pete Gallagher, who had been there since before I was born. 2 beers after a shift, same as every other man from the plant. I did not think of it as drinking. It was decompressing. It was transitioning from the person you had to be in the mill to the person you were going to be at home. I did not realize for many years that I was using alcohol to help me make a transition that a healthy man makes on his own. By my mid-20s, I had moved from 2 beers after work to 3 or 4. By my late 20s, it was whatever I felt like. I never drank on the job, not once in 23 years. That fact was the primary piece of evidence I used for most of my adult life to convince myself I did not have a problem. I was not a drunk who could not function. I was a working man who liked to drink. That distinction felt important to me for 30 years. It was one of the great lies I told myself, and I told it so many times and so convincingly that it became something I believed completely. The other thing that happened in my 20s was Catherine Brennan. She was a waitress at a diner on 5th Avenue, also Irish, also Catholic, with brown hair and brown eyes, and the kind of directness that I would spend my marriage trying to deserve and mostly failing at. We met in 1969 when I was 23. She was 22. We dated for 3 years, and we were married in the spring of 1972 at St. Brendan's, same church I had been baptized in, same priest who had confirmed me. 60 people, a reception in the parish hall, a honeymoon in Ocean City because that was what we could afford. It was the happiest day of my life. I mean that without qualification. Whatever I am about to tell you about what came after, the beginning was real. The beginning was good. Catherine was real and good, and she deserved far better than the life I gave her. Catherine and I had 4 children in 6 years. Michael in 1974, Patricia in 1976, Kevin in 1978, Bridget in 1980. A full house, a loud house, a house that smelled like Catherine's cooking and sounded like children arguing over the television, and felt, when things were good, like exactly what my parents had built, and I had always assumed I would build too. In the early years of our marriage, I was a present enough father. Not exceptional. I was not a man who got down on the floor and played with his children the way some fathers do. But I was there. I went to Mass with the family on Sundays. I coached Michael's Little League team for 2 seasons. I drove Patricia to dance class. I fixed things around the house on weekends. I was there. That is the standard I was measuring myself against. I was there, and for a few years, it was a standard I met. Catherine knew I drank. She had known before we married. Her own father had been a drinker, not a violent man, just an absent one. A man whose best self had been donated to the bar and whose family got the remainder. She had told me before our wedding, very plainly, that she would not live the life her mother had lived. I told her she would not have to. I meant it. At 26 years old, standing in front of the woman I loved and making that promise, I meant every word. I just did not have any idea how little my intentions were going to matter once the drinking got its full hold on me. Good intentions and a serious addiction are 2 things that cannot coexist for long. One of them always wins. The shift, the real shift, the one where drinking stopped being something I did and started being something I needed, happened somewhere in my early 30s. I cannot name a single day or incident. It was gradual, the way all the worst things are. I started having a drink before dinner, then a drink before the drink before dinner. I started keeping a bottle in the garage because Catherine did not like bottles in the kitchen. I told myself that was a courtesy to her. What it actually was hiding. A man who is fine with his drinking does not need to hide it. I have learned that. It took me 30 years and a great deal of ruin, but I have learned it. The children noticed before I did. Children always notice. Michael, my oldest, became very quiet around age 12. Not his natural temperament, which was loud and easy like mine. He was quiet in the particular way of a child who has learned to read a room and adjust. Patricia became overachieving and self-sufficient in the way of daughters of alcoholic fathers. She did not need anything from me because she had stopped expecting anything. Kevin, my third, went the other direction. He absorbed what he saw and reproduced it. By his mid-20s, Kevin was drinking the way I drank. That is the inheritance I gave him. I carry that one in a special pocket. I take it out and look at it regularly. It does not get lighter. The 1980s in Pittsburgh were hard years for the mills. Homestead started laying off in 1982. I survived the first round of cuts and the second. I did not survive the third. In 1987, the Homestead Works shut down. 23 years of my working life ended with a notice on a Monday morning and a handshake from a supervisor who looked as lost as I felt. Losing the mill was the accelerant on a fire that was already burning. The work had been the structure around which everything else in my life was organized. Without it, I was unmoored in a way I did not know how to manage. I found work eventually, maintenance, construction, odd jobs, but nothing that had the weight or the identity of the mill. And without that structure, the drinking that had been a daily ritual became something closer to a constant state. I missed Michael's high school graduation because I was at McCaffrey's. I told myself I would be there, and I was not. Catherine did not scream at me when I came home that evening. She looked at me for a long moment, and then she went to bed. That silence was worse than anything she could have said. The absence of her anger meant she had stopped expecting anything different. I had finally worn out her capacity for disappointment. What replaced it was something quieter and more permanent, a decision to survive me rather than change me. She was right to make that decision. I just could not see it at the time. Patricia moved to Arizona for college and did not come back. I understood it then, and I understand it better now. Michael got a job in Cleveland at 22 and settled there. Bridget stayed in Pittsburgh for a few years but eventually moved to the north side with a man she married, a decent man who Edward liked immediately and trusted, which at that point was the most important thing she could have given herself. And Kevin stayed. Kevin stayed because Kevin was me, the same weakness wearing a younger face. And men with that particular weakness tend to stay in the places they know because leaving requires a kind of self-belief they have drunk away. Catherine held the house together through all of it. She worked at a doctor's office from 1984 onward because my income had become unreliable in the years after the mill. She managed the money. She kept the lights on. She made sure Bridget and Kevin, who were still home through the late 80s, had what they needed. She did all of this while living with a man who was present in body and absent in every way that mattered. She did it with a dignity I did not deserve and could not have matched. I think about that regularly, particularly on mornings like this one. I need to tell you about the accident. I have told this story in AA meetings many times. I have said it out loud in front of rooms full of people who nodded because they had their own version of it. Saying it out loud does not make it easier exactly, but it does make it honest. And honesty is the only currency I have left worth spending. In December of 2001, I drove my truck into a parked car on McKnight Road at 11:15 at night. I had been drinking since 4 in the afternoon. Nobody was in the parked car. Nobody was hurt. But I was arrested, and I blew a blood alcohol of 0.18, which is more than twice the legal limit. And the officer who took my statement told me quietly and without cruelty that he had seen men like me before, and that this was the last warning I was going to get before someone got killed. He was not wrong. Catherine bailed me out the next morning. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, the same kitchen table where I am sitting right now talking to you. And she said, "Edward, I have stayed because I believed you could find your way back. I have stayed because of the children and because of the man I married and because I am Catholic and I made a promise. But I cannot stay while you kill yourself and take everyone around you with you. I need you to get help, real help, a program. If you will not do that, I cannot be here anymore." I told her I would think about it, which was not yes. She heard that it was not yes. She cried, not dramatically, just 2 or 3 tears that she wiped away quickly, the way she had always done, without performance. And then she stood up and she said, "I love you, Edward. I have loved you for 30 years, but I will not watch you die by choice. You have a week." And she left to go to work. I did not call the program that week. I waited 3 more years. 3 more years of the same. The DUI went on my record. I lost my driver's license for a year. I took buses and asked for rides and felt the humiliation of that and used the humiliation as a reason to drink more, because that is what addiction does. It converts every consequence into justification for continuing. 3 more years of Catherine's measured silence. 3 more years of phone calls from Michael and Patricia that got shorter and less frequent. 3 more years of watching Kevin disappear into the same fog I was living in. 3 more years. Catherine had a stroke in 2004. She was 57 years old. It was not fatal, but it changed her. Her right side was weakened. Her speech was slower. The doctor told us that stress was a significant contributing factor to stroke at her age. I sat in that hospital room and I listened to the doctor say the word stress, and I thought about 30 years of living with me, and I understood what that word meant. I did not say it out loud. I did not need to. The doctor had said it, and Catherine had looked at me, and neither of us needed to translate. Catherine's stroke was the thing that finally reached me where the DUI had not. Not immediately, not cleanly, but it cracked something open that the accident and the arrests and the arguments and the children leaving had not managed to crack. Because Catherine had always been the strongest person in our house, the person who kept going no matter what. Seeing her diminished, seeing her fight to find words that she had always had at her immediate disposal, was the first thing in 30 years that was bigger than the bottle's pull. I started attending AA meetings in January of 2005. I went to a group at St. Brendan's, same church where we were married, same church where I had been confirmed and baptized, and had my children baptized. There is something both deeply appropriate and deeply painful about surrendering in the place where you started. I sat in that basement on a folding chair every Tuesday and Thursday evening, and I said the words, and I listened to other men say the words, and I began, very slowly, to understand that I was not unique. That my story was not special in the way alcoholics always privately believe their story is special. It was simply a version of the same story, the same loss of agency, the same progressive damage, the same wall of rationalizations built brick by brick over 30 years. I got sober in March of 2005. I have not had a drink since the 23rd of March, 2005. I know the date the way soldiers know certain dates. It is the line between one life and another. Catherine lived 4 more years after my sobriety, 4 years during which I was present in a way I had not been for 3 decades. I drove her to her physical therapy. I sat with her in the evenings instead of at McCaffrey's. I cooked, badly, but genuinely, and brought her meals and watched television with her, and talked to her the way I had not talked to her since we were young. She was cautious at first. She had learned over 30 years not to trust the version of me that showed up briefly sober before disappearing back into the bottle. It took her almost a year to believe this time was different. When she finally believed it, she reached across the kitchen table one evening and put her hand on mine and said, "There you are. I have been waiting a long time." Those words, "There you are, I have been waiting a long time." I carry those words everywhere. They are the most important thing anyone has ever said to me. And they came in the 4th year of my sobriety and the 33rd year of our marriage, when we were both old and damaged and running out of time. But they came. They are real. I have them. Nothing can take them. Catherine died in September of 2009. Heart failure. She was 62 years old. I was with her. I held her hand, and I was present in a way I had not been present for most of our marriage. I was sober. I was there, fully there. That is the thing I hold on to, that in the end, I was there. It is not enough. I know it is not enough, but it is what I have. Part 7. Sober and Alone. 103 minutes to 119 minutes. I have been sober for 16 years now. I go to my Tuesday and Thursday meetings still. Some of the same people from the beginning still there, new people cycling through. I sponsor 2 men currently. One is 41 and has been sober for 3 years. The other is 28 and has been sober for 11 months. Helping them stay sober is the most useful thing I do. It is possibly the most useful thing I have done in my entire life, which is a humbling thing to sit with at 78. Michael lives in Cleveland with his wife and their 3 children, my grandchildren, who I see twice a year if things align, and once if they do not. Michael is civil to me, warm even when we are together. He has forgiven me, I believe, in the practical sense of the word. He does not hold the past against me actively. But there is a version of his father that he needed when he was 12 and 14 and 18. A father who showed up to the things that mattered, and that version of me never came. He built his life without it. He became a fine man without it. He does not need me now the way children need fathers when they are forming. I am available to him. I show up to what I am invited to. We are cordial. It is more than I deserve, and it is less than I had imagined when I got sober. Patricia calls on my birthday and on Catherine's anniversary. She was the most damaged by the drinking years. She will tell you that herself. She has said it in family therapy contexts that we tried briefly after Catherine died. Patricia learned to do everything herself because she could not rely on me, and she has never fully unlearned that. She is capable and self-sufficient and somewhat closed. I recognize my own handiwork in the walls she has built. I do not press. I am glad she calls. Kevin. Kevin is the part of this story I find hardest to tell, because it is the part where my failure is most direct. My son Kevin has been in and out of treatment programs for alcohol and opioids since his late 20s. He is currently in a residential facility in western Pennsylvania. He has been there for 8 months, which is the longest stretch of sobriety he has had in over 20 years. I call him every week. He answers roughly half the time. When he answers, we talk the way 2 men talk when they are speaking across the specific understanding that one of them gave the other a disease by example. There is love in those calls. There is also an accounting that neither of us puts into words because some accountings do not benefit from being spoken. I can help Kevin stay sober. I cannot make him want to. I have learned the difference. Bridget calls every Christmas at noon. She is the one who forgave me the most completely and the most freely and without conditions. She is like Catherine that way. I tell her that, and she laughs and says she will take that comparison. She has 2 children and a good husband and a full life in a suburb north of the city. She invites me to things. I go when I can. When I am in her house with her family around me, I feel the closest I ever get to the life I should have been building all those years I was at McCaffrey's instead. I was not a bad man. I want to say that one more time because I think it matters, not as an excuse, but as a truth about how addiction works that people who have not lived it sometimes miss. Addiction does not require a bad person. It requires a weak moment and a substance that is very good at expanding that weak moment into a lifestyle. I was a weak man, and weakness, left unchallenged and unexamined for 30 years, does the same damage as evil. The people around me could not tell the difference between the two. Why would they? The result was identical. Here is what I know now. The first thing I know is that the culture you grow up in is not your destiny, but it is your default. I grew up in a world where men drank, and that was what men did. I accepted that default without examining it. If I had had one person in my life, a mentor, a priest who spoke plainly, a coach, anyone who had looked at me at 25 and said, "Edward, the drinking you are doing is not normal, and it will cost you everything," I might have listened. I might not have, but the conversation never happened. Nobody named it, and things that are not named are very difficult to fight. If you are watching this and you see yourself or someone you love in what I am describing, name it. Say it out loud. The naming is the beginning of everything. The second thing I know is that sobriety is not redemption. Sobriety is just the beginning of the conversation. I spent the first 2 years of my sobriety believing that getting sober would repair what the drinking had broken, that my children would come back fully, that the years would somehow be restored. They were not. What sobriety gave me was clarity and the ability to be present and the capacity to be useful to the people in my life who are still there. That is not nothing. That is genuinely meaningful. But it is not the same as undoing. There is no undoing. There is only going forward more honestly. The third thing, and this one I say directly to every man watching who is sitting where I was sitting at 35 and 40 and 45, drinking after work, telling himself it is fine, telling himself he has it under control, telling himself his family does not notice or does not mind. They notice. They always notice. Children are not fooled. Wives are not fooled. The only person being fooled is you. And the cost of that particular foolishness compounds with interest every year you let it run. I am 78 years old and sitting at a table set for one on Christmas morning. That is what 30 years of telling yourself it is fine costs you in the end. The last thing. Catherine said, "There you are," when I had finally found my way back to her. 4 years before she died, I had 33 years of marriage and I was present for 4 of them. 4 out of 33. That ratio is the thing I think about when I cannot sleep, which is often. 4 out of 33. I am not telling you this to punish myself. I gave up self-punishment years ago because it does not help anyone, including me. I am telling you because I want that number to land on you the way it lands on me. 4 out of 33. If you are a young person watching this who is starting to drink the way I started to drink, those are the numbers that are coming. And if you are a person in recovery who is wondering if it is worth it to keep going even though the damage is done, it is worth it. 4 years of being there was worth more than I can measure. Go be there. Whatever you have left, go be there. Do not wait until the table is set for one. My name is Edward Sullivan. I am 78 years old. I am an alcoholic with 16 years of sobriety. I am a widower. I am a father of 4. I am alone on Christmas morning, and I am at peace with that in the way that a man is at peace with a scar. Not happy about how it got there, but no longer surprised by it. If you are struggling with alcohol or any addiction right now, please talk to someone. Not tomorrow, today. The number for SAMHSA's helpline is 1-800-662-4357. It is free. It is confidential. It is open every day, including today. The call is not an admission of defeat. It is the first act of an honest man. If you love someone who is struggling, I cannot tell you what to do. Every situation is different, but I can tell you this. Enabling a person's addiction is not love, even when it feels like it. The most loving thing Catherine ever did for me was tell me plainly, with tears in her eyes, that she would leave if I did not get help. She gave me the truth when I needed it most. Sometimes the truth is the most loving thing you can offer. Subscribe to Senior Untold Stories. New story every week. Real lives, hard lessons, unheard voices. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you took from this, or tell me your own story. I read every one. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people you love while they are still there to take care of. Good night.